To Knicks Chicks family, welcome back to another episode. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef. Happy to be back. Lots to dissect from that Tuesday game where the Knicks lost in overtime to the Boston Celtics. Um, I don't know. I kind of want to break down that game, for lack of a better word. I thought the Knicks was close, but no cigar. The Knicks couldn't figure out how to close it out. They couldn't figure out how to close it out, right? Um, I think the positive with that game was that the Knicks, it was a close game, the whole game. I think for me, there was a concern line there for me that in the third quarter, the Knicks were going to collapse and it was just going to turn into a hot mess. And surprisingly, the Knicks kept it together. They kept it together. It wasn't an outrageous game. There wasn't one particular quarter where the Knicks absolutely got outscored like crazy. The third quarter, yeah, they got outscored by 11, but for the most part, the Knicks were neck and neck in that game. I personally think that from what I saw, the Knicks, of course, didn't play good defense on the perimeter. Cat didn't play good defense on KP. He was wide open. He wasn't contested at all. He was just chucking up threes like they were layups. And it just looked too easy for him. And I thought at times defensively, I was a little confused as to why at times you saw Deuce, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart on Jason Tatum. That to me was wild because they couldn't guard him. They had no answer for him. The only guy I felt that was able to guard Jason Tatum was OG Anunoby. I thought he did a really good job on him. And yes, with Tatum, when you guard him, even with great defense, he just has better offense. He's solid. He's solid. His game is just very pure. And I can respect it from the talent aspect and what he can do on the floor. There's no denying that. Right. I just, as a Knicks fan, I hate to see him flexing his muscles and saying guys are too little. And quite frankly, he did have guys on him that were too little. Jalen Brunson and Deuce McBride should not have been on him. So the Celtics had their way with the switches because that worked in their favor. And then the same thing with KP. What was happening was Cat was leaving him way too much space. So then if it was Derek White or whoever was getting past the ball, Cat ended up on White, whoever else. It left Brunson to stand there and just put his hands up, and his hand didn't even reach KP's freaking face. And it just was like, the defense, and I've been calling on better defense for the Knicks for the whole season. This is not nothing new. And the Celtics pretty much got the switches and they got what they want on offense, offensively. And the Knicks the defense wasn't that good. Not to mention, I was expecting a little bit more from OG Anunoby. I thought OG somehow, I don't want to say he was passive. I felt like OG was kind of like, I don't even know. He worked hard defensively. I won't take that away from him. And I don't even want to say that he was particularly like off. He just wasn't attacking with that aggressiveness like we saw him do the past several games while Brunson was out. And that was one of my concerns. I said, and granted, that was just that game, but I was wondering, well, is OG going to play as aggressive when Brunson comes back? Is he going to be on that attack mode, that aggressiveness? I don't know. And I am looking for that I would say tonight, but I know he's not going to be in. But I'm looking for him to do that because that was one of the things that I was looking for. I was looking to see if OG was going to step up to the plate. And to be honest, the Boston game, when you look at the scoring, it was a two-man game for the most part, and that it fell on Cat and Brunson. Cat had a double-double with 34 points, 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson finished with a double-double as well with 27 points, 10 assists. OG Anunoby only had 13 points, 8 rebounds. Josh Hart finished with a double-double, had 10 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. And then you didn't really, Bridges had 14 points. So you didn't really have anything. And then Mikal Bridges, I watched him at one point. I took about a good 2-3 minutes just watching a game with the Knicks going from offense to defense. And when I literally took about 2-3 minutes and I was just watching Bridges, just watching him on the floor. Bridges is running around the floor like he's Steph Curry. If you're going to do that, you got to have something that's going to back up all that damn running around, getting your defender tired, but he's not really doing anything. And then he was off. You know, there was a couple of like middies that he missed. But even put that aside, Mikal is doing all of this running around on the floor. He's like a decoy. That's what it looks like if you really watch him when he's playing, he's like a decoy. He's just running around the floor, but there's no action behind that running around. I'm looking for you to show me something besides you just running around because if you're going to do all of that running around, then your defender should be so worn out as the best players that he defends does that to him. And, you know, I'm not seeing Mikal take advantage of, like, if you're going to do that and you're running around on the floor, like, what is that leading up to? You just running around? And I'm not sure, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure what that's about. And he hasn't really given us what we thought he was going to give us. So again, question mark there. Oh, and that was the other thing. Fourth quarter came. OG didn't get in the game in the fourth quarter of that Boston game until about 5.5 minutes. I wasn't sure why Tibbs was still rocking with Bridges instead of going with OG and bringing him in. I didn't understand that. And Landry Shamet, I mean, we're talking about Tyler Kolek doesn't play good defense. Landry Shamet has good effort defensively, but it goes back to what I just said about Mikal Bridges. The movement is there, the energy is there, the effort is there, but you're not really doing anything. You're not fooling me. I'm watching a game. I'm watching with my two big eyes. I'm watching a game. He's not. And you know what? I'm not going to just put it on Shamet, but for the sake that I'm talking about Shamet, his defense isn't good. He was getting taken to town, whoever he was trying to guard, doing whatever they felt like doing. But what I noticed with this Knicks roster, not only are we not a good defensive team, but the Knicks tend to individually, these players, they tend to like, they're playing defense, and apparently no one on this team could play close up man-to-man defense, because when they do, players just literally drive right past them, and then they end up playing defense along the side of the player, and they're just chasing on them, like kind of at their hip, but it's not enough. So the players have enough space and vision to make whatever move they want to do, make whatever pass they want to make. And I noticed that this is a thing on this particular roster with the Knicks, right? So, and I'm going to say the only player I would omit from that, and probably two, is Mitch and OG. But the rest of the guys on this roster, defense is not good. It's not good. So I'm not sure, because the only other game they have left to prove if they can beat one of these better teams is against Cleveland. So the Knicks, once again, this is the issue last year. This is the issue this year. They can't beat Boston. They haven't beat Cleveland yet. There's a little bit of optimism there yet, possibly. You haven't beat OKC. So I think we can establish as a fan base that this is not the year, and that's okay. They're still a work in progress, right? But even forget championship contention this year. How far are the Knicks going to go in the playoffs this year? And if you're watching this on a replay, please leave me a comment, because I'm really curious. Like, seriously, I'm really curious what other Knicks fans are thinking the Knicks, how far the Knicks are going to go in the playoffs this year. Because my thing is, you can't sleep on any team. So in the first round, you can't play defense. What are you going to do? Because I think the first round, in my humble opinion, I think the first round is going to be like last year. Back to back. Exciting, good basketball. But I think it's going to be a close one. Meaning the Knicks will win one. They play Detroit or Milwaukee, they're going to win one. The Knicks are going to win the next one. I don't see it being that the Knicks maybe, and this, I could be wrong, but I don't really see it being the Knicks win two, and then maybe Detroit or Milwaukee, they win the next one, and then the Knicks could take the game four. I don't know. I don't know. And the reason why I say that as well is because the Knicks have issues guarding or stopping, forget even guarding, stopping whoever's the best player on the opposing team. Tatum had his way. Porzingis had his way. They got lucky that Brown was just off. So he was on the bench. But they have a lot of weapons, as the Knicks do too. But when the Knicks played Detroit, you couldn't stop Cade. No one could stop him. He does whatever he wants to do against the Knicks. When the Knicks play Cleveland, Spider does whatever he wants against the Knicks. The Knicks have no answer for whoever's the best player on the opposing team. So I'm not sure how far these guys can go this year in the playoffs. I don't think the Knicks are going to get knocked out of the first round. I'm concerned about that second round. And tonight, you're without three players. I believe OG's out. I think it's Cat is out. And I know Mitchell Robinson's out for minutes, health restrictions, things. And Mitch scared some of us as well. Playing good defense. Because to be honest, I think Mitchell Robinson made somewhat of a difference in that Boston game as well. Mitch defended Porzingis way better than Cat defended him. I'm not, the way Cat was playing that lackluster defense on Porzingis reminded me of last year in round one of the playoffs when we played Philly and Josh Hart was guarding Cam Payne. A ton of space. Didn't challenge him, was watching him shoot the ball, and Cam Payne was just off the bench. Three, knocking down threes. And I'm like, does defense exist on this team? I don't know. And this is what I mean by the Knicks have to fix this bad habit of horrible defense. They don't have the defensive regime here. It's not consistent. It's more times than none. It's lackluster. It's weak. It gets exposed. What do you do? But I'm gonna tell you one thing: the front office is just waiting and watching. They waiting and watching for the playoffs to come. so they can make whatever moves they need to make in the postseason. So I don't know. I don't know. Would you guys let me know? It's still too early. I know it's still too early. I know we didn't even reach the playoffs yet. But guess what? You're going to blink and they're going to be here. So listen, I applaud the Knicks for not getting blown out, because let's call a spade a spade. Boston has bitch slapped the Knicks the whole season, except for that last game on Tuesday. Embarrassed the Knicks. Every matchup except for that last one, they've embarrassed them. But the Knicks did a good job, and I think I'm gonna say a big part of that was that Cat was aggressive. Mitchell Robinson played good defense. And I thought the Knicks didn't allow Boston to allow them to rush their shots on offense. There was some times where it was one shot, dribble over the half court. There was one pass, one shot. I didn't like that. At times it wasn't much, which I was happy about that. But there was some times when the Knicks came down and they were settling for, just a jump shot at three. That's an Achilles heel for this team. That's another thing that's a problem with this roster. You can't come down and think, well, I'm going to just, like Brunson did that a few times. And I'm like, you don't need that. You didn't need a three. I don't know. I don't know. And that was another thing too. The Knicks couldn't knock down free throws. And then they didn't get to the free throw line as much. They were 10 for 16 from the free throw line at 62%. Boston was 20 for 25. The Knicks out rebounding Boston. That speaks volumes right there. 52 to 38. Knicks moved the ball pretty well, 28, with a 28 assists. They had 6 blocks. Both teams finished with 8 steals. And even more impressive, the Knicks only had 11 turnovers. And then they beat Boston with the points in the paint, 60 to 30. But I think what also cost the Knicks the game was there was a couple of like small mistakes throughout the game that cost them the game at the end of the day. The Knicks should have won that game. So, Bridges not prepared for the pass that Cat passed them, and just silly mistakes. The Knicks should have won that game, but it was a tough loss. I'm happy they didn't get blown out, but I would prefer a win. I would prefer the Knicks to prove that they can beat teams like Boston, right? So I'm hoping that the Knicks can regain their footing and be able to beat Cleveland. I did read that Tibbs is going to be resting guys these last few games. I agree with it. Listen, at this point, just be ready for the playoffs. You got to have guys with fresh legs that's ready to compete and go. But it is what it is, right? The Knicks do play tonight. Again, they're going to be a little shorthanded because they're not going to have 3 guys, Mitchell Robinson being one of them. But I'm curious to see how the Knicks play without OG, without Mitchell Robinson, and I believe it's Cat that's out. Detroit lost their last 2, so they're going to be looking for a win. And I think that this is a good this is going to be a good preview to what can possibly be the first round. So I'm curious to see how this goes, considering the Knicks are not going to have all their players in a full healthy roster, but I'm curious to see how this goes tonight. Nonetheless, shout out to the chat. Nostalgic Knicks, salute to you. Rondu 1973, good evening to you as well. Eddie C, salute to you. Eddie C said, we will beat Boston when Coach Malone takes over. This is a good one, Eddie, because a lot of you have been asking me when I brought up the whole Tibbs talk. And let me just preface by saying I have not said Tibbs should be fired. I said I don't know how much long Tibbs is going to last here, right? But that's a good point. With Malone out, you never know. You never know. Maybe he can be the coach here for the Knicks. It's You never know, but that's a great, great comment and a great point. Kareem Grant, salute to you. Eddie C said, if in 4 games Tibbs cannot find a way to win one game, it shows his ineptitude. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, because even though the players have to go out there and play, as a coach, what's the game plan? How do you, so my thing is, how do you beat Cleveland coming up? What's the game plan, and how do you beat Boston and teams like Cleveland? Rondu said the defense was much better last year, because last year when the Knicks couldn't hit shots, the defense would bail them out. Agreed. This year, if the Knicks ain't hitting shots, they're in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have that Isaiah Hartenstein, Dante DiVincenzo type of defensive guys on this team. The only guy to me the Knicks really have that's like that is OG. And at times you can get Deuce, he can be like that, but at times it's not like on a more consistent basis like how OG is, like active hands, feet. He's ready. He's swatting balls away, and he's, next thing you know it, he's on a fast break. We don't really see that too much. But yeah, shout out to Diva. Yeah, I meant to say it's Josh, not Cat. Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting game. You don't have Mitchell Robinson, who you need. You don't have OG, who you damn sure need. And you don't have Josh, who you need as well. Listen, I'm not complaining. I'd rather the guys get the rest anyway, because, you know, it's not that deep. Like, let's just finish the season. I want guys to be healthy with fresh legs and ready to go. So it is what it is. Knicks tape Knickerbocker salute said, what do we do with Josh Hart? You know, I was having this conversation with Diva Locks, and I was saying that I'm not sure, right? I actually know, because I brought up to her how someone in the chat, the last live, asked me, would I trade for Giannis? And if so, who would I give up for Giannis? And I said, yes, I would. If I'm the Knicks, I would look to bring him over here, but I would look to bring him over here and keep Cat on the team. But I understand that if you did that, hypothetically, the Knicks would have to get rid of so many guys on the roster. You would have to give up Deuce, Josh, Shamit, Payne. We know Precious is not going to be there. The list goes on. You would have to get, like, damn near clean up house to bring him here. And there was pushback in the chat, and people were saying Giannis doesn't bring a championship, you know, just because you bring him here. And I'm not saying that he does, but I think he can give you a lot more than what you're getting from Mitchell Robinson. You can get what you're looking for on both ends of the floor from Mitchell Robinson, and you can get that in one guy, in Giannis. And then you also have Cat, who can shoot the three, who can drive, you know, who may not be the best rim protector, but you can get a little bit of both offense and defense from him as well. And not, I want to say a little bit more than a little bit. So, you know, having Cat, and if you brought Giannis, these are not scrub big men. These are guys who can get the job done, who have a lot of repertoire under their belt. And I just think that with keeping Mitch, he's so fragile and injury prone, you just don't know. When he fell in the Boston game, I was like holding my breath, like, oh boy, you know, I hope this isn't, you know, anything major, but thank God he's okay. But when I was talking about bringing over Giannis, Josh Hart was one of the guys I know, Diva Locks, and shout out to Diva Locks. She was like, yeah, Josh Hart would be on the chopping block as well. And I don't know. I think that, you know, as fans, we get these attachments to players, understandably so. We can appreciate what they do, and every player has their flaws, right? But I think that if you bring over a player like Giannis, and I'm not saying that the Knicks need to bring over a player of his caliber, a superstar type of player like him. That's not the route I'm necessarily the Knicks have to go. I'm just using this as an example because this is something that was asked to me in the last live that I went on. And I think that sometimes if you bring over a player like that, it doesn't always mean that it's going to work. You know, you can bring a player like Giannis here. He may not be a fit here playing with a Brunson, playing with an OG. He may not work, you know, but just like bringing Mikal Bridges here, he didn't have the type of season like Cat had. Cat has played really well. He's lived up to bringing him over here was worth it. And I don't want to count Mikal out because I feel like there's a possibility that next season he can bring it. But I think that if you make those moves, if the front office makes those moves in the off season, one, you got to trust the process. But two, I think that sometimes you have to get rid of certain players who we can really be like, why would they get rid of that guy? And sometimes there's a method to the madness by bringing in certain other players that can give you more of what you're looking for. Josh Hart to me needs to be coming off the bench. This is respectfully. I love the energy and what he does for this team. But I think if the Knicks was to bring somebody here who is more of a prominent scorer and can drive and get to the basket, Josh Hart gets to the basket on fast breaks. I'm talking about a guy who you can give him the ball. He can dance, prance, salsa dance, go on, give you that Kyrie Irving treatment, give you that KD, give you that Jalen Brunson, and get to the basket and score at will no matter what defense is on him. Josh Hart can't do that. I think a guy like Josh Hart needs to be coming off the bench and playing for this team. And I don't think he should be starting for this team. I think he should be starting for this roster. But if you switch the roster up, and this is what I think that the Knicks front office has to do, like you got to look at, you know, I'm not saying I would get rid of Josh, but I think Josh needs to give you that bench production, the depth off the bench. And then at times, yeah, he's playing with the starters. But I don't know what you do with Josh. I don't think you necessarily trade him and get rid of him, but I prefer seeing Josh play coming off the bench, to be honest. I think the Knicks have to make changes this offseason where when you look at this Knicks roster, the current roster that we have, no, the offense isn't an issue, but one of the issues that I noticed with this roster offensively is that the Knicks don't have enough go-getters on this team. The only guys who's going to go and get it that I see is Brunson, Cat, and OG. There's not really no bunch of players who can get the job done the way you need them to get the job done, right? So yeah, I think that this team, they got to make some moves. They got to make some moves. Cleveland resting their players now that they clinched the first seed. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Cat should take a rest tonight. I agree. Cat should rest tonight. It's not that serious. Yeah, nostalgic Nick for sure. Playoffs preview tonight. That's what I was saying. That'll be a good look. Be baller for real, for life. Salute to you. Beginning of the season, we had to complain before he started playing the bench. Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see Huck Porty there watching. Yeah, we definitely have to start. And I know the front office is going to do that. I think that there has to be, I'm not saying you completely wipe out the roster, but like the Knicks don't even have bench depth. You know what I mean? So you got to fix that. And they got to clean up the house a bit in order for us to be true contenders, to be better defenders. And to be honest, I think Tibbs has the eyes on him as well. He's not off the hook as well. But yeah, the Knicks played Detroit. They're 43-36. The Knicks have 50 wins. I'm hoping the Knicks can finish with 52 wins at least. I'm expecting a win tonight for the Knicks. And then they play it back to back. They play Cleveland tomorrow at 7:30, and then their last game of the regular season is Sunday. It's a nice early matinee game against Brooklyn. I'm expecting to win as well. So we'll see what the Knicks do. Um, and yeah, if Diva Locks was here, I would have kept the live going, but I'm in the process of moving, you guys. So I have somebody here trying to buy some of my stuff. So I have to end the live now. But the Knicks are playing at 7 anyway, so I'm gonna give y'all time. If y'all gotta get settled and get ready, get your chicken wings, get your dinner ready, get yourself ready to watch the game. I'll be watching. That's another reason why I want to go, because I want to get this over with so I can watch the game tonight. And shout out to the chat. Let me shout out the chat. Nostalgic Nick, Rondo 1973, Eddie C, Kareem Grant, Knicks Tape Knickerbocker, salute to you. Haven't seen you here, but salute to you. Philly P, salute to you as well. Haven't seen you here as well, but welcome. B-Baller, salute to you as well. And those of you who are watching, who are not in the chat, salute to you and shout out to you for watching. Those of you who are on the replay gang, shout out to you for watching, because you guys do help run up the numbers. And those of you who are new, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button, y'all. I appreciate it. Shout out to Diva Lock. Say hello to her. She should be back on our next live over the weekend. I will be keeping track of these last few games, and we will have a deep dive and talk about the playoffs coming up. But until next time, everybody, have a great night. And let's go Knicks, as Diva Lock, so we say. Peace, everybody. I'll see you guys